Your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, Your Creative Superpower with Zoe Muro. And now, here's Zoe.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the New Thought Media Network. My name is Zoe Muro, and it is truly my honor to be your host for Choice, Your Creative Superpower. Coming to you from Oakland, California, each Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 noon Mountain Time, we consider ways for you to wield your superpower for the greatest good as you co-create your life experience. If you're coming back, it's good to see you here again. And if this is your first time, well, welcome to the show. I'm a religious science practitioner with the New Thought Media Network, and I'm also a transformational coach. I work with people who are looking to live their lives to the fullest. In today's episode, which is episode 34, we'll be exploring the relationship between choice and authenticity. Now, since authenticity is the state of being authentic, let's start with the definition of the word authentic, which spans a number of different aspects. So, for example, worthy of acceptance or belief as conforming to or based on fact. So, for example, you might say that something paints an authentic picture of an ancient empire, or conforming to an original so as to reproduce essential features. So you might say something like, that was an authentic reproduction of the Roman Colosseum, or something that was made or done the same way as an original. That was a really authentic Italian pasta. I think I'm hungry. You could say it's not false or it's not an imitation. It's real. It's actual. Like an authentic New York accent, like I used to have. And some say I still do. So all of those are aspects of authenticity. But I want to get to a specific aspect of authenticity. It's really key for this exploration, which is personal authenticity. Being true to one's own personality, spirit, or character. To be sincere without pretension. You know, in an earlier episode, we spoke of being in and living in integrity, which relies heavily on holding true to one's sense of self. Authenticity, and from here on out, when I say authenticity, I'm speaking specifically of personal authenticity. Authenticity is that deep dive into one's beliefs, one's values, to ensure that they are real, that they do conform to reality. I absolutely see authenticity as a choice, but I also recognize that it's not always a choice that's available to us. Let me explain, since that definitely sounds inconsistent with many of the things that I've said about choice. Consider this scenario, just, off the top of my head. Say you're a child growing up in the 1950s in New York City, and the neighborhood where you live is essentially controlled by two factors, fear and respect. You learn very quickly as you step out of the nest of home life that power is the most valued currency. So whether you yourself need to be powerful, or you need to align yourself in some way with someone who is, that's how you're going to find your ability to be a part of that society, part of that culture. Now, being authentic is hardly a prelude to being powerful. Being connected, on the other hand, belonging to the right group, that made all the difference in the world. So that was the dilemma that I faced as a boy and even as a young man. Do I belong by behaving as the powerful and the friends of the powerful behave? Or do I stand out and make my own way? Sadly, in those days, I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the perspective or the mindset that would allow me to be my own person. It wasn't until I was able to see the lie for what it was that I was able to see life differently, see myself differently. I wasn't authentic. I couldn't be authentic because I wasn't even clear as to my own identity, my own values, my own beliefs. I couldn't choose authenticity because it wasn't even a concept that I could entirely understand at that point in time. Now, obviously, things have changed significantly. But I want you to consider anyone who is marginalized, disenfranchised, subjugated in any way. And it's not surprising to see how authenticity could be seen as being within their reach, but outside their grasp. Under those circumstances, I think authenticity might be viewed as a luxury rather than as an integral part of life. But for the most part, we do have the ability and the opportunity to choose authenticity. So when that is an option for you, do you choose it? Do you show people who you truly are? Or do you hide that aspect or that condition or circumstance? Do you stand firm in your belief? Or do you give in to peer pressure or desire to people please? You know, authenticity is not something that you simply achieve. You get there and you're done. It's something you must first define for yourself and then work at consistently and constantly. I'll tell you, it takes guts, determination to be authentic. It's not about simply blurting out anything you think because you feel like it. Well, I was being authentic. No, it's about understanding how to show up, how to be yourself, how to hold true to your core values, all of that while still being cognizant of the situation, the circumstances, the audience, if you will. But let's face it, we're not doing this alone. We're all part of something. Whether it's a couple, a family, an organization, a movement, a philosophy, we are responsible for our actions. And that responsibility ties to authenticity. Now, I've probably said this before at some point. Matter of fact, I'm certain I have. But think about the phrase like-minded people, as in, it feels so good to surround myself with like-minded people. And I'm sure it does. But if you ascribe to the belief that this world should be a world that works for everyone, does that mean everyone provided they think like you? Somehow that doesn't seem particularly authentic. Something to consider. Authenticity needs to be a complete package. Honoring your own truth, honoring your relationships and your responsibilities and your abilities, being aware of your intent and being aware of your effect. Authenticity is not timelined either. It's ever present or it isn't present. Damn, I just laid out a pretty difficult path, didn't I? Well, for some, perhaps. For others, yeah, I would say there are definitely times that being authentic is a challenge. So let's go back to the I'm just speaking my truth proclamation. There are absolutely times when you must speak up and speak out to maintain your authenticity. Whether it's for yourself or it's for another. But there are times when it's simply unnecessary. I mean, yes, Uncle Jerry wears a toupee. Yes, we all know about it and it looks terrible. But what's the importance of pointing that out at a family gathering? I mean, seriously. What aspect of your authenticity is that related to? Now, if Uncle Jerry takes you aside and says, hey, what do you think of the new toupee? Well, maybe that would be a good time to express your opinion privately, discreetly, and kindly. Now, I had a situation the other day where someone was saying some pretty offensive things to me. They were expressing their opinion of how I was not living up to what they felt I should live up to. My first thought was to defend myself. Actually, my first thought was, expletives deleted. But then I realized that the person wasn't questioning my actions. They were telling me in no uncertain terms that unless I behaved as they would, well, I was just wrong. So I looked within. I considered their perspective. I considered my own. And I realized, no, I was indeed acting appropriately. As much as I would have liked to have stopped this person in their tracks, I realized that there was no way that they could accept my perspective. So seeing that anything I said would be ignored or simply not understood at all, I just backed off and I let them have their say. Sure, I was annoyed. But in no way was I endangered or damaged. And more importantly, nothing that this person believed could pull me away from my authentic self, from standing in my integrity, because my actions were in alignment with my values. I have this quote from Dr. Jen Forrestal that I like. It says, authenticity is the ability to be our genuine selves, staying true to our values and beliefs even under pressure, while still adapting to the world around us. Well, since I'm going to be quoting, let me do another one here. Brene Brown, as usual, has a succinct and solid take on the subject of authenticity. She says, authenticity is a collection of choices that we make. It's a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. I want to add to that list because I think there's more. It's also the choice to be open, to consider different perspectives, different experiences. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to accept that that is in alignment with yours, but understanding them, being able to see them, to hear them. Authenticity isn't static. We aren't static. Our sense of identity, our values, our beliefs, these are all subject to change as we experience life and as we grow. So another choice related to authenticity, it's the choice to level set your held beliefs against information to the contrary. There is an issue that we can get into sometimes where if someone is questioning something that we believe, that's one thing. But if they're questioning something that we see as our belief system, that can become very challenging. So it's really important to be able to take in new information and to see how it fits. And if it doesn't fit, that mean that it has to replace something that we currently believe? Right? Very important part of our life is, as Ernest Holmes refers to it, being open at the top. Okay, being able to take in new information, being able to take in information and perspectives and circumstances and such, and understand them to see what is indeed authentic. Being authentic can sometimes be a challenge, or at least feel like a challenge. If you think about it, when you even question whether you're being authentic, if it weren't for a question from within your own psyche or as a result of external event or comment, would you even be questioning it? So my point is, anytime that you find yourself questioning your authenticity, there's work to be done there. If there was no question, there'd be no work. So it's our choice to discern just how connected we are to our true self. If you want to be authentic, you must be connected to your true self. Do you think of yourself as kind, loving, open, approachable, generous, inquisitive? Take any list of qualities that apply to your sense of self and look at how you actually show up in the world. Because not only is authenticity something that evolves, but it's also something that needs to be nurtured. It needs to be supported. It needs to be trained and strengthened, just like our muscles do, to enable us to perform effectively, to maintain presence, to maintain balance. If we turn things around, let's speak about how authenticity can affect your choices. So we looked at the idea of choices that you make relative to authenticity. So let's go in the opposite direction. When you're behaving in a manner that is consistent with your true self, there is a confidence, a certainty to your actions and reactions. The other way to consider this is choices that are born from doubt or fear can have a seriously negative effect, and they can limit our life experience. Knowing that we are standing in our authenticity enables us to confidently set boundaries, and specifically to choose boundaries which allow for connection rather than isolation. I had a wonderful discussion the other night with a group of people about boundaries. We spoke about how a boundary is not a wall that's there to keep people out. It's not a barrier to stop things. A boundary is a way to provide a safe and secure way to connect, to be in the world. Back to authenticity. As much as authenticity is an inside job, if you will, it's one of those what is mine to do situations, as much as it is deeply personal. We also have to consider if we make choices that allow others to stand in their authenticity. It's an important part of our lives. Even if what they consider to be authentic for them, it's not in accord with what we consider to be authentic for ourselves. So there's definitely work to be done around this. Actions that you can take. Christina Reeves, the author of the book called The Mind is the Map, A Guided Journey to Discovering the Treasure Within, came up with this list of what she called action tips, which can actually help foster authenticity. But I want to position them a little bit differently. I want to position them as choices one can make regarding your authenticity. So, for example, you can choose to root yourself in a moral foundation. You can choose to be optimistic, to live in integrity at home, at work, at play. You can choose to be selfless. You can choose to surround yourself with a strong support system, or to communicate with others where you need to make progress. All right, that's a really important one. Oftentimes, when we do encounter something that causes us to pause and to really question, that's a great time to talk to other people, people who know you, people who know a situation, people who know a circumstance, whatever it might be, to help them, or to rather to get them to help you to level set, to understand. Don't hold secrets. It's extremely difficult to be authentic when you're holding secrets, which does not necessarily mean that anything and everything in your life needs to be blasted out to the world. But if there is something that you're holding in your psyche, I can pretty much guarantee that it is going to be affecting your choices, affecting your sense of self, and therefore affecting your authenticity. Find people that you trust. Find people that you can feel confident in, and share. And lastly, hold yourself and others accountable. Hold yourself and others accountable. You've heard me speak about being an ally. Without a doubt, holding yourself and others accountable is really key. Now, of course, each of these action tips or choices, however you want to look at them, brings other choices with them. For example, choosing to be optimistic or selfless, well, that can actually inform your choices on a daily basis. Surrounding yourself with a strong support system, that's going to require that you choose to be open, that you choose to share, to accept, to be gentle with yourself. And there's a lot more. Communicating with others where you need to make progress. Well, that's going to require that you understand where you've been, where you are, and where you want to be. There's another quote here from Christina that I want to get to. find it. Authenticity is not about revealing something. It's about building something. And that something is you. Oh, look. It's Bonnie Morgan Gonzalez. Hello, Bonnie. I hope things are going well in Mexico. Good to see you. And yes, holding secrets does indeed prevent authenticity. Good to have you here, Bonnie. Okay, let me see. Where was I? Ah, yes. So I had spoken about how authenticity is not about revealing something, it's about building something, and that something is you. That was a quote, right? I want you to remember that each of us is created whole, perfect, and complete. So when I speak of building oneself, it's very much like the process of sculpting that Michelangelo described when he said, I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free. Each of us has within the touch of the Creator. We can spend a lifetime freeing that inner perfection, or we can embrace that this is our destiny, our birthright, and lay claim to our greatest good today. Sounds like a lofty goal, doesn't it? Freeing that inner perfection. Talk about authenticity, folks. Well, I'm going to let Michelangelo address that one as well with this quote. This is absolutely one of my favorite quotes these days. And Michelangelo said, the greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. The greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. Oh, thank you, Bunny. Let's see. Pardon me, folks, while I play games here and figure out where I am on my screen. Okay, so make your choice as to how you define your authenticity. And folks, aim high. Absolutely. Aim high. Well, that's really all that I had for today. I would love to hear what you feel about choice and authenticity. So by all means, feel free to email me. Let's see. Let me put this up here. There we go. You can email me at zodimiro@gmail.com. I would love to hear what you have to think about choice and authenticity, or if there's anything that you would like to share with me in confidence, or if you would like to come onto the show. Love to have you as a guest. If there is some topic that you would like me to discuss relative to choice, let me know. Be happy to do so. I do truly appreciate your spending time with me this week. And I would strongly recommend that you go to ntmedia.org to see all that we do have to offer. I mean, today, for example, 12 noon Pacific time, that would be 1 p.m. Mountain time. Finding the joy in the journey with my remarkable friend, Reverend Gina Calvario-Krupka, and her special guest today is Reverend Dr. David Alt. If you're looking for prayer, for meditation, information, discussion, oh man, we've got it and so much more. But it takes not only time and talent to present all that, it takes treasure as well. So if you can, please go to ntmedia.org and find that donate button. Help us bring all of this goodness to the largest possible audience as we work to make this a world that works for everyone. I look forward to seeing you again next week. And until we meet again, much love and many blessings. Namaste.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for Choice, your creative superpower with Zo Muro.